Hi, and welcome to this episode of Shop Miscellany. This episode series is dedicated to tools and interesting parts I acquire over the course of a month or two between episodes. And I've got some interesting ones this month. We're going to start off with an item, actually a pair of items sent to me by a Amazon vendor, and it's for shop lighting. Basically, they said, I've got a pair of shop lights. Would you like to evaluate them? So my lighting situation has been flexible over the years because I never seem to have the right light. So I tried one of these down lights early on. That one's just sort of mediocre light output. This pedal type puts out a lot of light, and they also have adjustable pedals on them, which makes them really handy, and that's what this guy sent me. I had a pair of Bell & Howell ones I bought off Amazon, and they both died 6 months in, which was really disappointing. So I'm actually missing two, so it was really convenient that he asked me if I'd like to evaluate a set. I also have these single par lamps, which I've replaced. This par lamp here will definitely get replaced with a pedal lamp because it's right above the saw, and that'll help me light that area better. And the other one will probably go above the parts over here just to help light that bench. Although I do have some Harbor Freight LED lighting under here, and that works really well, actually. You know, my lighting situation is probably even more dire than a normal person's because I shoot in my garage, and you need a lot more light to shoot video. Well, enough of that. Let's just get to the lights and see how they work. All right, so let's open the package. I will provide links to these on my site, on the bottom of this video, not on my site. Alrighty, so here's the package, and the lights on the outside say Garage Light 2-pack, LED garage, barn, shop, warehouse, basement, made in China, not to be unexpected. Here's the information about it. Garage Light 2-pack, 100 watts is how much they draw. Supposedly at 10,000 lumens, 6,500 daylight, with a color accuracy greater than 80. That's really surprising. Of course, they might just say that. Currently, there's a $10 discount on these, so it's two of these bulbs for $24.99 instead of $34.99 because there's a $10 off coupon. The company is Planned, Plande, and let's open them up and take a look. I already unpackaged one of these because I had it open. I had to shoot the second time because I screwed up the first time through. So the packaging is off. They give you a little bit of instructions if you need to know how to thread in a bulb, but they do show that these bulbs can be mounted two ways. One is like this, where the bulb is an omnidirectional in every direction with a little bit down but a ton to the sides. And you also can straighten them out or angle them specifically, individually, to be a downlight, which is the way I will use them, and probably have some of them at an angle, because that seems like it'll be handy. Now, the one thing I noticed with this style of light that everywhere in my garage is that this style of light does not fit in the holders I have in my garage. The bulb mounts I use are these outdoor bulb mounts because they screw into boxes, and that's how I chose to do it. And this flange here makes it deep enough that you can't really screw this in all the way enough to get the center conductor to touch. So what I have to use is threaded extenders. Here's what a threaded extender looks like, and all it does is threads onto the bulb and lets it reach into deeper sockets. I got this in a 12-pack off Amazon. I only needed a few. Actually, I got several because originally I had multiple of these lights, but several of them died. Just looking at the fit and finish on this light, everything is plastic, and that is very unusual. LEDs dissipate their heat not by infrared radiation like an incandescent bulb. They radiate their excess heat through conduction. And this is all plastic, and every other one of these I've had is made out of aluminum. So they probably saved a lot of money making them out of plastic, but will they cool adequately? I wonder what the longevity of these guys are going to be like. Well, let's just screw one in and see what it looks like, see if we really get 10,000 lumens. I'm kind of thinking that's a little dubious too, but maybe not. All right, so let's get to this bulb first. This is the one that's sort of offset over my bandsaw here, and that bulb was put in, and all the lighting was put in before I even had this bandsaw. Here's the pattern on the ground. It's very warm light, and it's not directly over that, so it'd be nice if I could aim some of those leaves at the bandsaw. It would still be better if I repositioned it right over the bandsaw, and that may be a project in the future, because we can always use more light. All right, well, that's a lot brighter for sure. I don't know if it's 10,000 lumens, but boy, is that much more even lighting. Remember the other one had a hot spot, you know, where it's much brighter in the middle and then diffuses out towards the edges. This one is very diffuse, which is nice. They do have diffusers, plastic diffusers, which you can't see there. But if we come over here, they have plastic diffusers on all of the, as lenses on over all of the LEDs, which does a good job of dispersing the light more evenly. That's a big plus, actually, because when you're shooting photography, you want everything to be even. It is definitely brighter. I don't know if it is a massive difference, but it is very good. The question is, how long will they last? Because they're made out of plastic. I'm going to leave that on a while and then go up and feel it and see how hot it gets. The next one I'm going to replace is this guy over here, and it's over my Stan Zinkowski Bar Z industrial heat treat oven, which he gave me the argon kit for, and I need to put that on still. I gotta get to that. Keep forgetting. And my tool and cutter grinder, but it'll also let me just illuminate the saw from the side, which is good. And we'll just replace this one next and see how that looks. As you can see, hot spots on the floor, not terribly even. Also, that's a daylight one, but it's not terribly bright. That's probably a couple hundred lumen. These are supposedly 10,000. I'm still questioning the 10,000, but they are very bright, so I'm not sure what they actually are. All right, so there's what it looks like now. The ground is much more even, and there it is on. And I've tilted the leaves so they illuminate various items a little bit better. And the bandsaw definitely has some light coming from this side, which is where that bulb is, and this side. I really need light on the other side of the fence, which is why I've got this little guy here when I'm cutting. So having a bulb mounted up over top of this would make a lot of sense, and I've still got to consider doing that. But overall, I think these are pretty nice. The light output is good, and the quality is, well, for 15 bucks a bulb at the current price, or $12.50 a bulb, that's a really good deal. But they may not last a long time. Only time will tell on that one. I'm going to go up and see if I can feel this guy and see how hot it's getting. Now, it should. They're just lukewarm. So one more time, the company is Planned, Plande. The bulbs normally go for $34.99 for two. They're currently $10 off. That's $24.99 for two. I can tell you my eyes have white spots, little dots in front of them. They're that bright. So they're good that way. I don't know if they're quite 10,000 lumens, but maybe. They might very well be. I don't have an easy way of measuring that. They're made out of plastic, so keep that in mind. Heat diffusion might become a problem, which could reduce longevity, including the housing. So the switching supply in it also has to get rid of heat, and the housing is also plastic, and that sort of slows down heat conduction. So I guess time will tell on these guys, but for now, they're nice and bright, and we'll use them until they die, and I'll let you know more as time goes on. Next up, I have an absolute beautiful set of items here. These are some square blocks, some hollow square tube blocks, and what makes them special is the gentleman who actually made them. So let me tell you a little more. If you guys watch Steve Barton over at Solid Rock Machine Shop, which I highly recommend, the guy is a master machinist, and he shares all of the details of how he does things. Absolutely fantastic. But he did a tour of his friend Daryl Smith in Michigan's shop recently, maybe within the last couple months, and I'll put a link below to it. Daryl Smith is a CNC repairman, and so he has to scrape in machines quite often. And he finds that he is in love with scraping. So he buys things like this, like these squaring blocks, for almost nothing, and then scrapes them in flat and square. And so I bought this set from him at an amazing price. They match in every direction. It's a set of 4 blocks that are all the same height and width. You can't even feel any height difference. Absolutely amazing in every direction. Absolutely gorgeous too. I am just in love with these things. He sold them to me at an absolutely amazing price. He actually sells them on his Craigslist site, but will ship them to you if you ask. So these blocks are ground and scraped to be identical in every direction. And a set of 4 blocks, I think, was $200 and something. So I'm going to shoot myself in the foot and put a link to his Craigslist post, because he's always scraping things just for fun and then doesn't know what to do with them. So he sells them on Craigslist at a price that's insane for the amount of work that had to go into these. So I am really honored to own a set of these. Thank you, Daryl Smith. These are absolutely wonderful. And look at the beautiful job he did scraping these guys in. Absolutely amazing. So I'll put a link below. Next up are some parts that I found on someone else's YouTube video that they were using in their project. I thought, oh, I need to have some of those. Those are incredibly useful. So these are some regular springs, typical round tubing. That's this one's very stiff, and this one is reasonably stiff. There's another class of springs that you probably heard of, made with rounded edge but flat stock material, called die springs. And die springs are incredibly stiff in a very small package, and that's handy. And he was using small ones, and I searched on Amazon, and lo and behold, came across a kit of really small die springs. So I picked them up just to try them out, and even the lightest gauge one is really stiff. That's this yellow one here. That's the other. By the time you get to red, I can just barely press it, and green, I can't press it hardly at all. I can barely deflect it, even a little bit. They're that stiff. So by brown, there's no chance of touching. So if you need a lot of spring pressure in a small package, grab yourself a set of these off Amazon. I'll put a link below. They can be really handy for projects you have coming up, where you need more force in a small package, because most of these springs are kind of weak, especially the ones offered on McMaster-Carr. Next up, found an item, a set of tools that I bought only because they were really cheap and I'd never seen anything like them before, so I thought I'd share them. They're taps, and they're 7/8 18. Now that does not make them interesting in and of themselves, because we've all seen regular taps, even large ones. But what makes these unusual is that there's a set screw hole in the bottom and they're hollow in the center. And I think the hollow part is to hold a pin so that you can use this to line it up. They have maybe one starting thread, so I think maybe they're designed for chasing normally. I'm not sure. It also says brass on here, so I wonder if they were designed to cut brass primarily. I have 6 of these, had no need for them other than I've never seen a hollow tap before, and I think I got them for like 15 bucks or something like that. So I thought, what the heck, I'll share them with everybody else. Maybe you won't have seen anything like that either. Looks like the pin can go all the way about the end, and then you need to add your own set screw, because none of them have set screws. So these were very unusual. Thought they were worth sharing, so hope you liked it. Next up is a tool very similar to one that I've been looking for a long time. So we've probably seen Stefan Gottswinter using a Volhopter boring head. Well, this is an Enco boring head, and it does the same sort of thing, where if you hold the top of this guy, it'll open up automatically. So you can use it as a facing operation. You can have starts and stops to stop the automatic motion on it. And it's just a regular 3/4 inch boring head. And when I got it, it was broken, so I had to take it all apart and fix it. Apparently something got jammed in it. It got crashed or something. But I was able to fix it, and I got it for a pretty decent price. The quality is surprisingly good. Like I said, the manufacturer is Enco, and it was really tough coming up with drawings for it. But I eventually found some on the internet and blew them up so that I could take it apart and fix it. I had this thing completely disassembled all the way because, like I said, it was in really bad shape. The top portion here that does the opening of the boring head was wouldn't even rotate at all. It was completely jammed inside, and there were apparently a piece of metal gotten stuck and scored the top part of this that it rotates on. So I had to remove those burrs and clean it all up, added new grease because it was completely dry. And we have a really nice boring head, but I thought that there are options out there besides the Volhopter, which are beautiful looking things. but incredibly expensive, even used, over $1,000. This is a brand that was sold by MSC Industrial, and this might even be their sticker on here. It was a really good find, and I got it for a decent price. Even after having to fix it myself, it was still worth it. So just thought I'd share that with you. Next up, I was looking for a solution to true the wheel of my surface plate. Now this one I made to hold this multi-point diamond a few weeks ago, and all this does is sits on the magnetic plate, and the wheel goes across the multi-point diamond and gets trued up. Now if you have a part that's way up here and you're busy surface grinding the top of this part, in order to get the wheel down here, you got to crank the Z-axis handle like 100 revolutions to get it down there, and it's just really painful. And then you got to come 100 back up to go back and work on your part again. That really sucks. So I was trying to think of a way to make an adjustable height wheel truing diamond holder. And so I saw this guy for sale on eBay and thought, oh look, it's a wide stance height gauge. Beautiful looking thing made by its owner. And actually I couldn't tell how beautiful it was when I was placing the order on eBay because the pictures were not completely helpful. When I got it and got it in person, this thing is just smooth as butter. It's been ground and just moves smoothly. It's got a slot in it that a T-slot that this tightening wheel pulls up on, holds perfectly. I thought, wow, this would be a perfect solution because I could mount a diamond point on top of this and adjust the height, and I could get up pretty high and still have a lot of stability. And especially if I was going like this and the wheels come in this direction, this will be very stable. And it would be a great way to true my wheel without screwing up the height on it. But then I got this thing in person. I thought, oh my God, I can't drill a hole in the top of this. That would be a crime. That would be an absolute crime. Whoever DMB is, this is just fantastic work. It is just a beautiful piece of art. So what I might do at some point in the future is make something that fits over the top of this that clamps on the sides, that I can then run up and down without damaging this height gauge, because it is a work of art. So my original intentions for this, I don't know that I'd be able to bring myself to do that. So I'll have to look for another solution that works with it. Next up was an item that was going for too inexpensively to ignore, was this beautiful regulator for gases. It's designed for clean rooms, so it's all stainless steel. It has a very strange pressure ratio. I think it's only good up to 22 psi max on the output. The input side can handle 3,000 or 6,000 psi on the input, but the output only goes up to 22 psi. And I thought, hey, this might be perfect for argon. And since this was only going for like 25 bucks, made out of all stainless, I thought, you know, I gotta have it. So I'll be putting this on an argon tank, and I can use it for backflow behind parts, because I don't have a multi-output adapter on my current regulator, which I guess I could modify as well, but I thought this would be a neat solution, especially for the price. So couldn't pass it up, even though I did not have an immediate need for it. At that price for stainless steel, couldn't turn it down. Next item is a brand new Kyocera holder, and the only reason I'm showing this is because its clamping method is really unusual. So it has a carbide seat, and the pin down the center is sitting on it's sort of U-shaped, and when you tighten this, the pin goes at an angle up like this. So here's an insert for it. Let's see if you can see that. There you go. So the insert goes in, and when it tightens, it just pulls it back into the seat back here. And it seems really snug. Most of the force is going like this, trying to rotate it. So I guess there is going to be some wanting to pull this out. The pin is much smaller. The pin is much smaller than the center hole, as you can see there. So I'm not sure how good a holder this is. I got it new, as new old stock, and it was, I only got it because it was just very unusual looking. But you can see, here's the pin attached to that arm in there. Oh, maybe you can't. There's the pin attached to that arm in there. It is a very unusual design. I've never seen anything quite like it. So I got it because it's a curiosity. And the carbide seat, boy, that's a custom carbide. The carbide seat is definitely a custom carbide seat because it's got some sort of metal insert in the middle. Yeah, so that'll be fun to replace if you ever have to. It uses an R-type insert. The round inserts are the strongest inserts of all of the inserts, from like interrupted cuts and that sort of thing. So I thought I'd get it to try out, plus it's good to do radiuses with. But in any case, it's more of a curiosity than anything. It was almost nothing, like 15 bucks. So I just thought I'd share. Next up is a set of tools I've shown before. And last time I showed them, I didn't know what they were. Now that I do know what they were, I'm kind of excited. I kept an eye out for sets of them. And this one came up. This is a Walton tap extractor set. And the way these work is very different than other tap extractors I've seen. Here is a 1-inch tap extractor. And so the way they work is, this is good for a 1-inch 4-flute tap because it's got 4 pins here. If you had a 3-flute tap, you'd have to get a different model of this. So if your workpiece is here and the tap is broken off inside it, you slide the pins as far as they'll go, you slide the support collar all the way up, and then you untighten the tap by reversing it out. And they come in a huge range of sizes and configurations. Here's a crazy small one. This is a number 4. Look at the size of those. Hopefully you can see that. This is for a 3-flute number 4 tap. And I've broken off small taps so many times I can't count. So I'm counting on this bailing me out in the future. Threw some extras in here that I had from before. And if you're wondering what happens if you put way the hell too much force on these things, look at this set. This one was in that set, and boy, they damaged the daylights out of it. Maybe if you cut everything off here, you could get a good set out of it still. I don't know, that one's broken off, bent. Man, they must have torqued it, or they mustn't have slid this part down. It's either too much torque or sliding this down without sliding this down would cause that sort of thing, but that's crazy. Anyways, I'll just leave that one in there for now. I could potentially modify it and make it still useful. But this was a good find. Next up is a couple of tools I bought 3 or 4 months ago and just haven't put together yet because I wanted to show them on one of these and I hadn't actually done one of these. It's been quite a few months since I've actually done one of these videos. But this is a revolving tailstock MT4, which is the tailstock of my lathe, and a 4-jaw chuck. And what that lets you do is hold a part potentially eccentrically in the tailstock when a center is not going to work. So let's open these up and see if they're any good at all, because I did purchase them a long time ago. So if they're no good, I probably can't return them now. And yes, they are inexpensive, made in China. So I might be getting punished. Wow. That's quite smooth. I wonder how much runout is in this guy. So I took this guy over to the lathe here, popped this in the tailstock, measured runout along this surface because it looked ground, and it was about 2/10 out at most, and it was all right where this numbering is. So I'm guessing that however they marked this, it looks like laser etching, but maybe it's not. However they did that, it made it a little bit out of round right where the 3 is, about 2/10. The rest is unmeasurable. So that's very impressive, actually. The grinding of the Morse taper is excellent. It fits in my tailstock perfectly, which is good and bad all at the same time, because this doesn't go back far enough even to the ejection slot in the Morse taper, so I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this. And there's no threaded hole in it, which is kind of a bummer, because I'm going to have to put something in here to allow this to eject, because the pin that goes in the back doesn't reach. I might have to do a press fit piece of Delrin that sticks in here like I did for one of my other chucks that had the same problem. This is probably hardened, so I probably can't drill and tap that very easily. Also, this is 3 holes. And this is 4 holes. This is the 4-jaw chuck I got. It's a Shars, and it's in pretty decent shape. It's a little crunchy. I should take it apart and clean it. My suspicion is that there is probably some of the manufacturing grit still in it. And once it gets going, it's pretty good. So I've thought about this a little bit more, and rather than damage the hardened ground surface here and drill 4 holes in that, A better solution is to just drill into the 4-jaw chuck, because it's probably just cast iron, the base here. I can use this to line up one of the holes. It's on the exact same bolt circle diameter, and I just need to drill the other two. So we just need to locate those and drill those, and we should be good to go. One really nice feature of Schar's is they give specifications for all of their chucks. And so this is the plain back 100mm chuck. And so the bolt circle diameter is 84, which I just double checked. And that's actually accurate. There's a bit of play in the relief for the countersink for the Allen heads. So you can see they slop around a fair amount. So I centered that up, popped transfer punch down there, and marked my 2 centers right here. In preparation for drilling this, I took all the jaws out of this, and yeah, sure enough, there is grinding grit all over the place, although the jaws are very nicely ground. See, look at all the grinding grit residue. So I'm going to clean all that out before I put it back together, get in here with a brush. I'm going to deburr these edges because they have some really nasty burrs turned up on them, and that's no good. So we're just going to clean all that up, and it'll probably be a pretty decent chuck when I'm done. I could have used the DRO and the bolt hole circle mode on the DRO to find the center, but instead I opted for using my Fowler centering scope, since I did put some marks here anyways, and I would have had to find one of the holes. I don't think you can see this. No. Yeah, you can't really see that, but it lets you get within 1,000th or better of lining up on the mark. So we're going to go with this, and there's plenty of play in this, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to drill and tap these off camera, and I'll be back. All right, we got the holes drilled and tapped, and these guys run near this, but they only go in about that deep. So hopefully there's enough material that'll keep this really strong. I still need to deburr this chuck in here, which I will do before I put the jaws back in. Alrighty, so here's my adapter. I've got a bevel to match the bevel here. It's about 0.290 inches all the way to the end there. So we're just going to tap this guy on. I made it about a 1.5 thousandths interference fit. Well, that's not coming off. Let's make sure that it still ejects. I'll take it over to the lathe and make sure it ejects, but I'm pretty sure it will. It works absolutely perfectly, so we're going to put the final... oh, I've still got to deburr this, but I'm going to assemble it. That pretty much makes it done. Next up, I have a really cool tool I purchased from Randy Richards in the shop to help him get to the summer bash. Besides, he makes great tools, so no loss there. It's a tapper. You know, instead of my big chunk of copper that I normally use, I have one by the lathe and one by the mill. Now we've got this guy, and it's a lot lighter, with a soft face and a brass face that are replaceable, and dead blow, which is pretty awesome. It's really nice work, Randy. Stainless steel body, it looks like, and plastic on one side and brass on the other. What a nice job. So I bought this from Randy, and if you're interested, go check out his YouTube channel, subscribe. The guy's great. And if you want to buy one of these, you just send him an email, and he'd love to hear from you. You can support his trip to the Bar Z Bash. I know he had some personal issues that really hit he and his wife hard this last year, so it's been a very tough time, so I'm sure he'd appreciate the getaway. Anyways, on to the next one. Last but not least is a tool that I've been looking for a long time. I was looking for an excuse to get, and I finally ran across one. And the first time I saw this was on Stan Zinkowski's channel, Bar Z Industrial, another great channel. Go check it out. He's also the host of the Bar Z Bash. Machinists get together for YouTube machinists and people in the community that just want to hang out and talk about machining. It's always a great time. It's in Rancho Cucamonga, California, and his channel is Shade-On HKW, so go check it out. This tool I purchased from Amazon, is made in China, of course. Metabo makes one of these, and it's $500 or $600, I think, something like that, some huge amount of money. This was just over $100, and it's a surface conditioning tool. It uses these giant Scotch-Brite style wheels. I had no idea in my mind that they were this big. They said 4 inches across, which this guy is, at least. It's actually 5 inches across. But in my mind, I was picturing something closer to the center of this. This thing is massive. Let me pop this guy out of the box and let's take a closer look. So it looks like, and I think it's more than just looks like, a repurposed angle grinder, which I'm pretty sure this is. And they just put a new shaft on it. I bet you this comes off and you could put this on a different device. They've got a protection, a wheel protector right here with a guide roller. This is some of the roughest plastic I've seen before. That is just really weird. That is so incredibly rough. Maybe it's because sanding grit from these brushes. So the steel this is made out of is really heavy gauge. It's beefy. It's not very well machined, but again, what do you expect? It's about 100 thousandths thick for the sides, and this base piece here is a full 1/8 of an inch. They've got a couple detents in this ring here that captures the lip. There's a little groove going around this and it captures the lip, so that's workable. The wheels are all made out of fibrous material. It comes with 4 wheels of different grits. This is the coarsest, second coarsest, next finest, and finest. So, and the wheels are, the center is wheel material that's got a lot more glue in it, so it's fairly rigid. And it comes with 2 keys that should fit in this keyway here. It's a pretty snug keyway, which I guess is good, but getting it started, I may need to deburr it first. Yeah, it's a bit nasty, so I'm gonna deburr this, see if I can get these keys in, and I'll bring you right back. Alrighty, I got both keys installed. I'm pretty sure this just unscrews from here. There's even a washer underneath it. And I'm sure this is just a regular angle grinder with adjustable speed. It's 600 to 3000 RPM. And this thing comes with a nut and a washer for the other side. So let's just pop one of these on there. This is the second coarsest. Comes with an interesting little locking nut. That seems pretty reasonable. And then it looks like they were intending this handle, which could go here or on the base, but they're intending for you to mount the handle either like this or like this. I'm thinking maybe like this, I don't know. Here's a piece of hot rolled stainless, and I'm just gonna work one edge of it here and see what I can do. So I didn't go with the coarsest, I went with the second coarsest. Maybe that was a mistake, but we'll just see how it turns out, and we'll just go through the 2 grits that are finer in this one and see where we end up. All right, here's a couple passes with the third coarsest, not the coarsest, which is over here. I'll switch to this one next. That was just a few passes. It took the oxides and whatnot. I don't think it took all of it. I may have needed to start with this one to get right down through it quickly. This didn't take very long though. I might step up to this one and then come back. I've gone back to the coarsest wheel. They're very quick to change the wheels out, so that's not hard. Just unloosen this, takes 2 seconds, and just make it hand tight holding the wheel. One thing I did notice is that if you have this loose enough to spin freely, it'll end up rubbing on the wheel, which it did, which is already braided. So you got to tighten it up. Okay, there's the coarsest wheel. Yeah, I think I still need to take this down a bit further. I think that's still oxide, so you heard how long that was, not terribly long. That was about 30 seconds. Now we're going to step down to one under the coarsest. Make sure you wear eye protection and lung protection because the first time these things engage the material, they spit off all kinds of debris. And again, these are inexpensive wheels since it came with 4 of them. And typically these wheels sell from like $40 to $100 each. So that was the coarsest. That one looks like a flap wheel almost. This one's solid. So we're going to go the next level down. There are finer wheels than came with the set. I think this set, if I remember, it goes to like 120 grit or maybe 180 grit. They go way up to like 600 or better. Okay, there's the next wheel. There's the next wheel. That's noticeably getting better finish. Now this other wheel looks like a flap wheel. These pieces inside here that have the grooves are multiple pieces. They're 3 pieces. There's a center section and 2 end pieces. And this one, they got the end piece misaligned. You see how the angle is? It's 90 degrees out. Fortunately, you can just push it on because it's just more of the same material. And there's the results from the last wheel, especially over the edge here. That's a really nice finish. I think there's still, I did not go deep enough to get through the mill scale right here. So that's my bad, but if you look over here, it got a very nice finish. Overall, I mean, the thing is less than a quarter the cost of a real one like a Metabo. If I was going to use it every day, I would definitely cough up the money and buy the better unit. But I'm only going to use this very occasionally. And so I don't think it's worth it for me, but you should definitely consider that. And also wear lung protection and eye protection, because when these wheels start up, at least these inexpensive ones, they throw debris everywhere. I am completely coated here. Check out my arm. So appropriately protect yourself. But I think that's about it. I think this unit for the money is pretty reasonable. I could really push in on the wheels, and it bogged down, but didn't come anywhere near stalling. So that's kind of impressive. I kind of like to take this apart and see if it needs grease in there, because it doesn't sound great. I mean, it's just an angle grinder, and I think it's a really inexpensive angle grinder at that. But on the flip side, I think I could reuse this shaft on another angle grinder and probably just unscrew it and go. We'll have to check that out. But in any case, I think the end result's pretty reasonable, especially over here where the mill scale was worn all the way through. But that's about it. I think this was an interesting find. I'll have links to most of these things down in the bottom. I also have a link to Randy Richards' site and Steve Barton's friend's site. And if you want to check them out, please do. Steve Barton at Solid Rock Machine Shop, Randy Richards at Randy Richards in the Shop. And Stan Zinkowski over at Shadon HKW at the Bar Z Industrial. All great sites. Please check them out. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.